Hello, everyone. My name is JT, the Talking Head. You are the audience, and you are listening to episode 5 of the Masters of Matinee podcast, a collaborative show between content creators who all share a great love for cinema and a passion of physical media. Our co hosts today are a dynamic duo. We're speaking with Drewbie, Doobie Movie and Zedzilla. Come along on this magical trip to the cinema as we discuss our best and worst movie theater experiences, as well as some of the weirdest and possibly most dangerous items found in a movie theater. The Masters of Matinee would like to remind you to please silence all cell phones and do enjoy the show. The cinema experience. This is something that Drew is what I would consider to be the true master of matinees because he is the biggest theater goer of all of us. Drew, how many on average? How much would you say? How many movies on average per week do you see?
In theaters, I would
In theaters.
say at least 3 or 4 a week. I mean, there's some days, like on some days off I'll go see 3 in one day if I'm behind.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I mean, dude, it's just where I live. Like, we were talking, me and JT were talking about this together, and he said he lives like an hour away from a theater. And that was crazy to me because like I said, I live not downtown, but on the outskirts of downtown. Like, I'm like 25 minutes drive from downtown. And within 30 minutes, I think I have 7 to 8 theaters I can go to. I have a couple Regals. I have a couple AMCs. I have a Keystone Arts Cinema. I had this other art cinema downtown called the Can Can, and the Can Can is called a Brazier, I think it's called. But it's like a small restaurant
Brazier.
that has like a lemon.
That's a porn site.
Almost, not quite, different spelling. But it's like you sit down and they have like, it's a really nice restaurant, and they have a bunch of drinks, and they have beer and cocktails, and all the cocktails are movie themed, like movie named. But so you can either go there before and have a meal and go see a movie, or you can go see a movie and come out and have a meal. So I got a lot of options, man. I'm very lucky. And when you said that, I was like, yeah, I'm very lucky to be surrounded by so many movie theaters, because I just think that experience is you can't put words to it sometimes.
Zed, how's your cinema situation looking around where you are?
Well, while Drew's at Buffalo Wild Wings watching porn, I'm at my local Cinemark. I have a couple theaters around me. My closest is a Cinemark, which it's about maybe a 10-minute drive, maybe. But we have a couple. I think around me, I at least have 3 that I can think of, nice. And they're all pretty popular. Nice. I live pretty close to a college town, and I also live pretty close to the Detroit airport. So there's always people coming and going, always college students, always people in and out of town. So like my theaters are always pretty popping.
What's the last movie you saw in theaters, Ed?
In Across the Spider-Verse.
That one.
Yours was Asteroid City, right, Drew?
Yes, I just saw Asteroid City the other night.
I cannot wait to see Asteroid City.
I really, really, really enjoyed it.
Mine was Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Nice. That's not terrible.
Yeah, but it's been a couple months now. So
yeah.
Wow.
So we had a movie theater. We had an AMC that was, so before it was a Carmike, which is an old chain that is no longer around. And then AMC took it over, and then they only like put new carpet down in the lobby, and that's all they ever like freaking did for it. And so that theater had been at our mall since the 80s.
Oh wow.
And they didn't change the screens, they didn't change the projectors, they didn't change the seats. The floors were always sticky. It was basically a dollar theater that they were trying to charge actual AMC prices to go see a movie at. It was horrible. So even when that theater was around, which it just closed this past spring, even when that theater was around, I never went to it because it was an awful experience all the time. And that theater was still about 35-40 minutes away from me, so I always chose to go the opposite direction, because see, where I live kind of like right on the West Virginia border. So where I can go into one way. I could have gone to that old theater, or I could go this other way for an hour instead of the 40-minute drive and go an hour to this nice college town and then be in a nice Regal theater that has the
Mhm.
reclining seats and all that and like
Oh yeah,
the whole shebang. And then we
for sure.
also have there a what's called the Cinnabole, which is a bowling alley, restaurant and bar and movie theater all in one.
Excuse me.
Oh, great
Yeah.
place to watch porn.
That sounds amazing.
It's
That
pretty
sounds really
awesome.
cool.
It's pretty awesome. You can go watch a movie and you can have beer and alcohol in the theater as well. It's kind of like the Alamo Draft House type
Hmm.
type
Cool.
situation there. And then you can just go and take a roll down the lanes after you're
Can
finished.
you hear
Dude, hell
crashing
yeah.
pins
Uh,
when you're watching the movie?
no, they're on the opposite side of the
Ah,
like that would be like really cool if you're like there for like a Big Lebowski screening or
that's
like
what I was about
Yeah,
to say. If
dude.
we're watching Big
Yeah.
Lebowski and then Jesus is about to roll, oh my gosh, yeah, that'd be beautiful.
But yeah, so like those are my only two options. Then I can go the other way an hour, and then there's like a I think it's another AMC, and it's a way nicer than the one that we had, but it's
Yeah.
still like there's no reclining seats or anything. It's still the old kind
Damn,
of seating and
still.
everything. So I would rather drive the hour and
Wow.
go to one with reclining seats and stuff, the luxury stuff. But even that
Yeah.
that Regal, it doesn't have IMAX or anything. We don't have any IMAX screens around us. I got to drive like 3 hours to get to
Damn.
an IMAX theater, bro.
Damn.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. So
That's wild.
I've never seen a movie in IMAX. The closest thing I've ever seen is I did an RPX movie, the Regal Premium Experience. I saw Guardians with that, and what that is they do the Dolby Atmos
Hmm.
like sound, and so
Okay.
like it's supposed to be more immersive. So like when
Hmm.
there's a bunch of explosions and stuff, it like shit the speakers like shake your sheets and stuff,
For sure.
and I honestly hated it. It got my anxiety boiling
No.
so bad.
Oh no.
Because I have like really bad like auditory anxiety, like because like it
Well,
um
that'll do it.
like I how do I explain this? It's like if I am talking to somebody, right, and then I have somebody else having a conversation right next to me in this ear, my ears can't distinguish who I'm speaking with versus who they're speaking with. And it just becomes a jumbled mess. And like I used to work at a GameStop, so that was like a big issue for me because it's like I would be talking with a customer and then my partner would be talking with a customer and then we would have the GameStop TV on in the background. And so if you're up there speaking and everybody's speaking and that TV's going, it's just like it would frazzle me to the point to where I was like about to have a panic attack. It's
Like
so bad.
sensory overload.
Yeah, like I have very bad auditory sensory overload, and
Okay. Yeah.
it just my ears can't differentiate like what's going on. I can't
Hmm.
isolate sound.
And that starts like panic. That starts a panic in your mind and stuff.
Yeah,
So.
like so. Well, sometimes it manifests as panic. Sometimes it manifests as frustration. In the case of going to
Hmm.
Guardians and having the speakers blaring so hard that it was shaking my seat and stuff, it was
Hmm.
less of an immersive experience and more of a panicky experience.
Yeah.
And so it was just it felt wrong. It was kind of
Hmm.
like have you ever been to like one of those attractions where you go see what they call a 4D movie where like you sit in the seat and like it like will like blow wind and water on you and the seats move and everything like as you're
Yeah, I
flying
did that.
through.
I did that once. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that I'm fine with that because I'm going in expecting that. I'm expecting to be moved around. I'm expecting to get wet. I'm expecting to have stuff blowing my ears out. But with RPX at Regal, that's all it is just the vibration of your seat with the Dolby Atmos. And to some
Hmm.
people, that's probably an amazing experience because the sound was very good when it wasn't vibrating my seat because it's Dolby Atmos.
Hmm.
But like it was just very razzling, man. It was horrible.
Yeah, I mean Dolby's intense, man. It's loud as fuck, but like you said, like it has its moments where it's like overly bearingly loud to where it's moving, it's like shaking your seat. But also there's moments in there where like so not only is it loud, but it's 360 sound. So like if a helicopter is rotating from right to left, that's how you'll hear it. And if like I saw Across the Spider-Verse in Dolby Atmos, and it was really cool because there's a lot going on the screen. So like you would hear like something would be coming from the left side of the screen, so you'd hear it on your left side, while something's going on your right, so you'd hear it on your right. So so I could definitely see how that's not for everyone, but also for me, it just takes me way deeper into the movie. I have really bad ADHD, so that low-key helps me because there's so much going on, so I can concentrate on everything. It just makes me more centered. So I really enjoyed Dolby Atmos, but I can definitely see, because like in the new John Wick, it starts out with him hitting that pole, and in Dolby Atmos, every time he hit the pole, your chair was like fucking going insane. I was like, what the heck?
I also saw the new Across the Spider-Verse in, is it called Dolby Atmosphere?
Yeah, Dolby Atmos. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We didn't know that we bought those tickets. So when we sat down in the chairs, my buddy who used to work there was like, "Oh shit, this is one of the Dolby theaters. This is one of the Dolby." And basically, there's only there's 2 lines of chairs that are the Dolby chairs that really give you that experience. But if you sit near those chairs, which we only sat 1 row back, you can feel the vibrations. So when Across the Spider-Verse opens and Gwen's playing her drums, you can feel the drums in your fucking chest. And it was incredible. And it was one of those things that on the drive there, my buddy sang, I hope, like, I want to see Gwen playing her drums. Like, I want to see that. Like, because we were talking about, one of the producers said that Spider-Gwen's getting her own spinoff. And we were discussing that. And he said, I want that movie to open up with Gwen playing with the Mary Janes. And then we get into the fucking movie, and that's how it opens up. And we were just so excited. It felt so immersive. And you're saying every punch, every person walking on and off screen, you could just feel it. But they also chose certain moments to really escalate the vibrations. And those ones were really impactful for certain moments, like when, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but like when Miguel is on the chase.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it at all.
Oh, well, I guess you do. Well, you do know that.
No, I don't know anything about
trailer.
I haven't seen the trailer. I don't
watch
trailers.
trailers. He doesn't watch trailers.
You don't watch trailers? I'm a trailer slut. I love trailers.
So anyway, there are certain moments that really escalate the intensity of the vibrations, and it really just, like you're saying, Drew, it like zones you in on what's happening. And it really makes you feel like I am also on the chase, or I'm also like, this is it's brilliant. But I could also understand, because there were certain points of it where I felt overwhelmed as well, where I'm like, because it's an overwhelming movie in general, and then you're constantly being shook, and you're like, oh my God. But it also is like, yeah, this is the feeling that I should probably be experiencing, is like panic.
Yeah.
and this, so,
Drew, you saw the new Indiana Jones, right?
I did.
How was that? Like, it's getting a lot of, like, just briefly, I just want to, for personal sake, I want to know.
I will say that it's a good time. I still enjoyed it, but it is my least favorite Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I don't know if I could trust your opinions, though, because you're a Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls nerd.
That movie, bro. I love that shit. And thank you.
It is so good.
It's so good. People hate on that shit way too hard. I watched them all in succession. I watched the first, second, third, fourth, and I was like, my favorite is The Last Crusade. And
me too.
It's so good, but from Last Crusade to that, I was like, dude, there's not like that big of a drop off for me. Like, I love the mystery. I love the story. Yes, some of the dialogue is cheesy. Yes, Shia LaBeouf swinging through the trees like Tarzan was cheesy as all hell, but I eat that shit up. And I just thought the action scenes were so cool, and I thought the connections were so cool. And Karen Allen is my girl. I love seeing her back in action. I loved the whole sci-fi aspect of it, and it was really cool because Steven Spielberg had done a couple of sci-fi movies from and that space between. So it was really cool to see him combine those two loves that he has, and I thought it worked really well, and I loved it. But this new one is just like, I would say it's just very like modern adventure. Like they don't take a lot of risk. They don't. I was expecting there to be a little more emotion too, just because it's Indiana's last ride. I just wanted there to be a little more emotion, and it just didn't. It just didn't hit for me. But I still enjoyed it. I still had a good time, and I still think if you like Indiana Jones, you should go see it, and you're gonna have a good time.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you dug it. Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about. You're both like going absolutely crazy. There's no such thing. It doesn't exist.
It's brilliant.
There's no such movie. It never happened. It never
I'm
happened.
about to get a poster. I'm about to get a Kingdom of the Crystal Skull poster.
I absolutely do
wall.
not have a DVD copy of Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls on my shelf over there. There's no way that exists. So do you guys have any like cheapo theaters, like dollar theaters around you?
No, I don't believe so. There are certain days of the week that my theaters will show cheaper movies, not like matinee showings, but like where they will just have like, especially when they're bringing back like older movies that aren't necessarily like anniversary releases, but like my theaters will sometimes have like weeks like high school graduation week where they'll show like a bunch of high school movies, and they'll be cheap. Like they'll show like, you know, they'll show like The Breakfast Club, or they'll show 16 Candles or whatever, and it'll just be like one of those graduation school weeks, whatever. And those will be like 3 movies for $5. But like dollar movies, no, not really.
Yeah, that's a negative for me too.
I don't think the actual like dollar theater. I use dollar theater as like just a cheap theater. I don't think you can. I don't think they exist anymore. Like for $1, like inflation's probably got the dollar theater still being like now being like $7.50 a ticket.
You can't get anything for $1 anymore.
Even the Dollar Tree's $1.25 nowadays. Like,
yeah.
We had growing up. At my dad lived a couple hours away from me, and there was this really small town that had this cheap like 2-screener theater, and tickets were maybe a couple bucks at most, and they always showed movies that had been like run through theatrical release like 6 months prior, and so they get them super late, and so they would be super cheap, and the seats sucked, the floor was sticky, the drinks and stuff, the cups that they came in, like it was kind of a gamble whether or not the bottom was going to fall out of them. They cheaped out on everything, bro. But you know what? As a kid going there and everything, like that's where I saw Daredevil for the first time with Ben Affleck, which I absolutely love that movie.
Yeah, he might be coming back for Deadpool 3.
Yeah, I mean, heck yeah. He was seen on set though, right?
He was. He was. He was seen around the area.
Yeah. So like I have like all these fond memories of seeing movies in that theater with my dad and my stepmother. And so the dollar theater is like one of those things where I don't think in modern times I would enjoy going there, but like I have a lot better memories sitting in that theater watching movies than I think I ever will get from sitting in a Regal electronic recliner, drinking a beer and watching a movie, you know?
I have a hot take.
What's a hot take?
I have a hot take. I don't like the recliner seats. I don't like how, because bro, at the same time I understand you want to be comfortable, you want to be chilling. I'm not trying to go to bed. It's not Betty by time. Like I want to be sitting upright, right next to the person next to me, so I can't be all like stretched and just like fucking willy nilly. Like I want to be upright, attention hut at the screen, and like you just fit way more people in the movie theater when you don't have those recliner seats. Like I used to work at a theater in high school, and it was Imagine Theaters. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Imagine. They got some in Michigan. So I worked there, and it was in like 2013, I guess. So it was still before the recliner seats got real hot, and we had a couple theaters that sat 200 plus people, 300 people. And like that's just not a thing anymore unless it's an IMAX, because all those recliner seats take up so much space. Like I had to go into theaters and be like, Hey everyone, this is a sold out show. Every single ticket in here is sold. So if you have a seat that's next to you that's empty, go ahead and do me a favor and squeeze in because every single seat in here is sold out. And I'd be yelling at 200 plus people. And it's like now it's like at the AMC I go to, there's a theater in there. It's a very small theater, but there's a theater in there that only has 15 seats. I'm like, bro, what's the point?
That's
I don't know.
crazy. I do disagree with you about the recliner seating just because I'm a big man, and so the
Yeah, I get
packing in
that.
like
Yeah,
sardines and stuff is not
I
comfortable
get
for
that
me.
for sure.
Even the recliner seats are a little too small for me. Like my freaking legs always hitting the button and everything. Um, but also on the other end of that, I triggered something in Zed to make him giggle.
Oh, dude, when I was watching Across the Spider-Verse, my hip was hitting that damn recline button. I'm just sitting there and
Yeah.
go up and down. I'm just
I
like,
do that all the
Jesus
time. Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But I don't know, man. Like on the other end of that, as somebody with like social anxieties in general, anyway, like I would not, and it would not be an enjoyable experience for me to be packed into an auditorium with 200 people watching a movie. Like I've been
Yeah.
there for sure. I've done that. Like I went to see the 2000, what is it, 2009, 2010 remake of Friday the 13th, like opening freaking
hmm
weekend, line out the door. Like, so I mean, I've seen movies that way. I saw The Conjuring open weekend. Like, so
Mm,
packed theaters and stuff were a thing when I was a kid. Nowadays, though, I don't even know if like you're gonna get packed theaters at all, even if you
that
do
is
have an
true. Yeah.
auditorium like that, because of post COVID and stuff. Nobody wants to do
hmm
that, and then even before COVID, movie theaters were kind of dying anyway. Um,
Yeah.
and so, but I don't think it would be an enjoyable experience for me to be packed like that, uncomfortable, worried about catching the bubonic plague from my neighbor. I just
Yeah. Yeah.
like I get that
I,
it's a vibe. It's like
It is. It's fun, man. I mean, I get it. Trust me. That's a lot of people in one theater and it's stressful. I mean, I get like that on a bigger scale. Like when I go to like amusement parks, like I hate those kind of crowds. Like those huge enormous crowds. Like my wife wants to go to New York City with me and she wants to take me to Times Square and I want to go, but I'm low key terrified because that place is so jam packed with people and it stresses me out. But I think
Yeah.
when like a movie theater is like the perfect amount for me, especially when everyone's seated and not like mumble jumble walking around. But like I remember, I actually saw Django Unchained back when they did midnight premieres. I saw that at midnight before they did the whole Thursday release thing, which I don't like either. But I like it, but I don't. Like, I trust me. I'd rather go see. Now that I'm older, I'd rather go see a movie at 6 o'clock than 12 o'clock. But
right.
that 12 o'clock premiere was so much fun. I went to Django with a couple of my buddies. We snuck in some brews, and the whole theater was packed. Was sold out. Everyone, and you can hear. I love just hearing people's reactions to movies when you're in movie theaters, especially like a movie with that. There was a couple brutal scenes, and people were just losing their minds. And then you get up and you walk out and you literally just hear everyone talking about the movie. Everyone's mumbling, jumbling, and walking out. It's like 3 a.m. because it's a Tarantino film, so it was 3 hours long. I remember that was so long ago, and I remember that day like it was yesterday. It was so much fun.
That's definitely a vibe for sure. I've never been to a midnight movie. Um, Not like that. Like I've seen like Rocky Horror Picture Show at midnight, but I've
Oh hell yeah,
never,
that's cool.
and that wasn't even in a movie theater. It was like at a little like um stage theater downtown. They just had a projector screen set up with it for on Halloween. We watched Rocky Horror. Um, but
That's cool.
I've never been to like a movie premiere or anything like that. But it is now on my list that whenever Tarantino's new movie, the movie critic comes out, or the film critic,
hmm
whatever the hell he's calling it, comes out,
hmm
because I've never watched a Tarantino movie in theaters.
Oh
Um,
shit.
so if that's going to be his last movie, I want to go
Yes.
big with it. I want to go to the midnight premiere of it, and
Hell yeah.
and see that way, because he's one of my favorite filmmakers. Period. So
I don't think I've seen a Tarantino film in theaters either. I'm like trying to think about it. but I honestly don't know. I haven't even seen his latest one, the Once Upon a Time in
Once upon a
Hollywood.
time. Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
I haven't even seen that yet. It's one of those things that Tarantino says, and he's been saying that this is going to be his last movie, and I have doubts about that. I don't think he's going to. It's going to be great marketing. It's going to get a lot of people in the seats, but I doubt, especially in this day and age when we were just talking about Ben Affleck coming back as Daredevil. There was always potential for people to come back, and nobody's mad about it. Even like right after they killed Iron Man, they were like, "So when's he coming back?" It's
Yeah,
like,
how
"No,
do we
he's
get him
dead."
back?
They're like, "But how do we get him back? Like, how do we the multiverse? Okay, let's do it." Um, when it comes to me, the theater experience has always been very unique because I'm 6'9". I am
Jeez.
very large.
I
Holy
didn't know
shit,
you were
you're
that
6'9"?
Yeah, I'm 6'9". I'm
Oh
very
my
large.
god.
Wow.
So sitting in those really shitty, like, I would describe them as like baseball stadium seats or whatever like. They're not comfortable. They don't fit me. They're not
Yeah.
great. I already have a problem with leg space, so they're not great. The recliners are better, especially as someone like me and you, JT, or maybe you as well, Drew, that we just have chronic back issues. And I remember the last movie I saw in those really crappy foldable chairs was Kong Skull Island, and it was a great experience as I loved the movie. But like when I stood up, I still had a night that I had to go out to dinner with my ex-girlfriend. It was her birthday. Like we still had a night plan. When I stood up out of those seats, I was like, I don't think I can go anywhere.
Yeah.
But even so, like a lot of those movie theaters that have the recliners, those don't even really fit me. Like no matter what theater I go to, when I sit down in those recliners, like I was saying, like I have to like position myself in a certain way to where I'm not hitting the buttons on the side of the chair. Also, when I recline back, my shoulders and head don't fit on the back of the chair. My legs go out, 2 feet.
Yeah.
In front of me. So like I don't fit in any chair in any theater. So it's always been unique to me. Like I know that it's going to be a fun experience to see a movie in theaters, but the physical experience is always going to be isolating. And that's just anywhere I go. Like a lot of people don't like when I'm sitting in a car going anywhere, I always look to my left because I don't drive, and people are using the headrest on their seat. And I'm like, I can't use the headrest on any seat I sit in. So I'm in a car, I can't use that unless I'm like slouched all the way down, my knees up on the dashboard. So it's always just very unique for me. I do enjoy the experience. I do, like you were saying, Drew, love hearing reactions. And it's very unfortunate because I went to the premiere of Across the Spider-Verse, and I think in total, my theater probably has a capacity of 100 in that particular theater, maybe 150. And I think 20 people were in the theater.
Oh wow.
And this is night of premiere. Like, this is, and it's
Damn.
one of those things that's happened quite a few times where I've gone to big releases and my theater, and maybe folks were waiting for like that midnight premiere and they just weren't filling up the seats that early. Because I did go to like the 6 o'clock showing of it or whatever it was. But it was strange because even when I went and saw No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home in theaters. That might have been the previous movie I saw in theaters. I go for every Spider-Man movie. When I went and saw No Way Home, my theater was packed. My theater was packed comparatively. There were still empty seats, but comparatively packed. And that was so when Andrew jumped through that portal, I couldn't hear the dialogue. There was nothing.
Oh my god.
I think the worst theater experience I ever had was I went to go see The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. Is that the that movie sucks. That movie is boring. In the day and age where they were like, Harry Potter had a 2-part climax, why can't we? It's like, because you don't have material to do 2 parts. You don't have Katniss shot her bow one time in the entire movie, and it was in the trailer. It was so boring. So for me, I'm sitting in a packed theater because The Hunger Games was absolutely I mean, it conquered the world. So I'm sitting in a packed theater watching part one of what's supposed to be a fantastic climax, and I'm in the top row with everybody. Every seat was filled, and I'm watching a movie that I couldn't be less interested in, sitting in an extraordinary, uncomfortable seat. When I walked out of that theater, I was like, where do I get like the Nemocron thing from Evil Dead? Like, I'm summoning something because I am pissed. That was such a horrible experience. But yeah, most of my theater experiences, though limited, are fun, but the decline of moviegoers is very noticeable in my area. Where maybe it is just certain times that they're more popular, certain days of the week. Who's to say? But when big movies are, when Disney does bad in theaters, there's something kind of weird going on. Like the last couple Disney movies, even like pre-COVID, did not do well. Like a lot of their live action stuff, like the Nutcracker movie they did, Nutcracker, yeah, Nutcracker, and like the Three Realms, or even Encanto didn't do well in theaters, and it was only until it went on Disney Plus that anybody heard about it. Strange World absolutely failed, and it's not marketing. When Disney, even stuff like Guardians did well, but not as well as it could have if we were like in Guardians Volume 2 days. Like, there's something weird about the box office nowadays that folks are anticipating it going on streaming in a month.
Right.
They're not going to the theater.
The pandemic.
It's like in a month's time. And the shitty part is when the studio announces it, they're like, "Hey, go see Avatar, Way of Water in theaters, but in 3 weeks it will be on Disney Plus." And it's like, don't say that. Just say go to the theater and watch it. Don't announce that kind of stuff. So, who's to say? There is a noticeable drop, but it doesn't mean the theater experience is not any less incredible. It is an incredible, even when I sit in a theater, like a comedy. I went and saw Fight Club, not Fight Club, sorry, Fist Fight with Ice Cube and Charlie Day in theater. It was like mid-March, and there was like 6 people in the theater. I wouldn't have watched that movie any other way. It was so fun to watch this big Ice Cube, Charlie Day movie in theaters. It wasn't a big epic Marvel movie. It wasn't a big epic action movie like Indiana Jones. It was just 2 dudes that had beef with each other. But it was that much better because I was watching it on the biggest screen I could.
Right.
All right. So you had said that experience with Hunger Games is would you say that's the worst experience you've ever had at a movie theater?
I think so. It sucked.
Okay. So we're going to talk about worst and best experiences of movie theaters that we have personally ever had. Zed, you say Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 1. That was your worst movie going experience. What about you, Drew? What was your worst experience at a movie theater?
Man, I'm trying to think if there was a bad experience when I was younger, because don't have too many, but man, I don't know. I'll just have to go with, like, I don't really recall ever having like a bad experience like in movies, but I definitely have seen this was like the beginning of this past year. I went and watched Marlowe by myself, and I was one of 3 people in the theaters. But that movie was bad, and I wanted to leave so bad. I wanted to leave like halfway through, and then I wanted to leave when the 3rd act started, and then I stayed, and I got through it, but it was rough. I feel like the movie itself kind of makes the experience in a way. There are things that can happen, like if you're like you said, if your bottom of your drink falls, or the chairs are uncomfortable, or like there's certain stuff that can kind of make it a worse experience. But I feel like overall the movie kind of controls the experience. So I would say Marlowe, because that's like the most recent one for me. was not a fan of that movie theater experience. I definitely thought I could have watched that at home, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have two, kind of. So the first one was my first date with my ex-girlfriend. And it was just because to me it should have been writing on the walls, like it was not a good date, but then we ended up dating for like 2 years after that.
Oh no.
I just like go back to like, man, if I just paid attention back then, like could have saved myself so much heartbreak.
Wow.
And funny enough, Zed, we went to see Hunger Games, whatever the second one was, I can't remember what it's called.
The
Not
best one,
Mockingjay.
Catching Fire.
Yeah, Catching
I
Fire.
I don't
yeah.
like any
Catching
of them.
Fire was
I don't
the
like.
best one.
I don't like. I hate Drew. You might leave the pod for this. You might
God.
might leave.
What are you
Masters.
about to fucking say?
I hate Jennifer Lawrence. I hate her. You've
No.
been sipping on Twitter for J Law so hard lately. You've been
No Hard
sipping,
Feelings
bro.
was so funny. She's so attractive. Oh my.
But I hate her. I can't stand her acting. She's one of those people that I'm just like, I watch her in a movie and I hate everything I've ever seen her in. I hate it.
No.
Everything.
You ever seen Red Sparrow?
No. But I've seen
You
like
probably hate it, but it has
probably.
Jennifer Lawrence in it.
I've seen like Silver Linings Playbook, and I love Bradley Cooper.
Oh, fantastic movie! And he's gone. He's gone.
I'm walking away.
Absolutely walked
That's
off set.
insane. Oh my god.
Oh,
Oh shit.
Didn't she win like Best Actress or Best Supporting Actress for that movie?
I don't
Pretty
know,
sure
and
she
I don't
did.
care. She was horrible.
Oh, she was so good.
I hate Jennifer Lawrence. I know
That movie
that
was
is
amazing.
I know that if it's any
What a hot
consolation,
take.
I know that I'm in the minority. I understand that I'm 100% in the minority. She just annoys the shit out of me, and I don't know why, but she does. I just don't like her. But the real worst experience that I've ever had in a movie theater was at a drive-in, and it was actually last year. So my town actually does still have a drive-in movie theater.
Hell yeah.
About 20 minutes away from me. And it is a vibe, I will admit, but I went with my family. And so I had my wife, my dog, my little sister, and my mom with me. And I had to be the one who was in charge of the concessions. And I literally spent half the movie, over half the movie. Went to see Top Gun Maverick. Over half the movie standing in the
that's a long movie.
Standing in the fucking line for concessions. And so it's like there was a line out the door, and then the line snaked through the building. I'm just like, y'all idiots realize that, like, I mean, I could have said this about myself, but like, you got your own car, you could have brought your own snacks, right?
Yeah, that's what I do with drive-in theaters.
Like, yo, like everybody and their freaking uncle and grandmother were in that concession stand line, man. And it's like,
that's
literally, I probably spent over an hour and a half in concessions. And then I get up to the counter and I'm like, yo, I want a pizza. Cause they like, you can get like a small medium pizza or whatever. It's like one of those like crappy, like oven baked pizzas. But they were like, yeah, it'll be like 30 minutes or whatever. And I was like, all right, well, I'll come back. I came back 30 minutes later. No, we haven't even put it in the oven yet. Still be 30 minutes. Came
Movie's
back
over.
Yeah, like we got it like in the last 20 minutes of the movie, and I finally got to sit down and watch Top Gun Maverick. I still haven't seen Maverick since, because I'm like, if I didn't get to see it in a theater, which that was not the ideal kind of theater setting to see a movie like Maverick anyway, because the sound is awful at a drive-in.
Yeah.
And like my wife and I had lawn chairs that we brought. My mom and my sister stayed in the car, but like I can't see a movie from the back seat and stuff. So like my wife and I brought lawn chairs, and we sat our chairs in front of the thing, and we were like relying on the speakers that were around the concession stand, and we were a little bit away from the concession stand. So that was what we were relying on to hear it. So we decided, like, if we ever go back to the drive-in, which we will, I mean, it's still a vibe. Like, we're gonna like download a radio app on our phone, because our drive-in has like the thing where like they broadcast it over AM radio or FM radio, whatever the hell it is. And so we'll just take our earbuds and listen to it on the radio.
That's a good idea.
But
did it not provide closed captioning?
You wouldn't be able to read it. We were so far back.
Really? I'd presume you'd be able to read it, but maybe not. I just think it should. I honestly, not even really a hot take. I just think every theater should provide closed captioning in every showing that you go into.
I agree.
It's just like it's so
This
helpful. It's so helpful.
this might make me sound like a villain, but I have to disagree. Just because subtitles really distract me from watching a movie, they hardcore distract me. It's
See, I feel like I can do both, especially now that I've been watching a lot more foreign films. I mean, I feel like I can center in more, but I just sometimes I don't even read the subtitles, like if it's in English, but like if I can't really hear them all that well, then I'll start reading them, you know? I just like them having as like a safety net. I don't want to miss anything.
I just can't do it.
Absolutely.
I can't do it. Like,
Growing up, like I grew up in a deaf household, so closed captioning is on every single TV, every
right.
single device. Everything just has it inherently. And it's so ingrained into me when I go somewhere and they don't have closed captioning on, I'm like, well, what? Like if I go to a restaurant and there's TVs without closed captioning, I'm like, we can't hear it anyway. So what are you
Right.
supposed to do?
Yeah. What's the
Right.
What's the
point?
point? Like me, I can read lips fairly well. So I can read lips and whatever, but I know the large majority here have no idea what's going on. Maybe for like a sports, like football or whatever, it's fine. You can just infer what's happening. If you want to watch football, you may know what's going on. But if you're just watching like a news broadcast or like a television show or something, who's to say what's going on? I just think it's a great tool. I think it's something that every theater should either they should provide it as like, okay, it's an option. Do you want to see Top Gun Maverick without captions or with captions?
That I
And
agree
it's like,
with.
Mm-hmm.
I've only ever been to it's one of like my favorite. Oh no, you know what? That's my favorite theater going experience. I'll save that for a second here. But like, legitimately, theaters should have that as an option because they already have certain theaters do options for visually impaired people where they have descriptors, so you can get like a little descriptor that you put around your neck with a pair of earbuds and whatever, and they'll describe the movie for visually impaired individuals. But not many theaters offer it for those who are deaf or hard of hearing, or just folks that want to have the captions in general. You don't have to have like hearing problems to want to read what's happening.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
I agree that theaters should offer showings that are CC. And my Regal they do that. But yeah, I think that every theater should have to do that. But not every showing though, because I know that I'm not, even though I might be in the minority here, and it makes me sound villainous that I don't want to watch movies with CC on. Like
I don't think you are,
well,
honestly.
I know that I'm not alone. At least, like I know there are people out there that don't and it's not that I can't do it. It's just that it's distracting for me, and it's like I
It
can
would be
watch a foreign
cool.
film, but
It
watching a
would
foreign
be
film is different.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool. And this is like you're talking about downloading that app that can like scan radios and whatever.
Mhm.
It'd be interesting if they had some, I don't know, I want to say a screen on the back of someone's chair, but if you have a bunch of screens lined up on back of people's chairs, it's distracting. But it'd be nice if you could like download the AMC app on your phone and just have the captions in your lap. But then also you have to think about the screen being just lit up in random places around the theater. I don't know. I don't know how you would make it available to everybody and every showing, but I think that at the very least you need to have certain showings where there's closed captioning. And into that, I'll just go into my favorite showing just since we're talking about this because
Well,
it
I have
has to do with closed captioning.
before you do that, I have one like solution, like an idea of how this
Okay.
could be rectified with CC. Um, so use 3D technology. 3D technology is something we already have. Make it to where, like, I mean, and will take more development, but I mean, the development is here. Make it to where, you know, if the movie is in a 16:9 aspect ratio, there's still going to be black bars on the top and bottom of the screen, right? Make it to where you have to put on like these kind of 3D glasses, and if you put these glasses on, you can see the CC across the black bars. And then if you take them off, they're gone. It's like the same kind of technology they would use to make a 3D movie 3D. I don't know the science
It's not
about
a
how
bad
that would
idea.
work, but I think that would be like if somebody were to try to really put the time, they could probably develop that tech to be able to do that. Just make invisible captions that the deaf or hard of hearing or people who want captions, they can pick up these glasses from the front, put them on, and they act like 3D glasses, and then boom, the captions are on the screen. Like I mean, I'm not gonna say like I'm not an engineer, a theater engineer, so I mean, I don't know how hard that would be to implement, but I feel like in 2023, like there is technology out there that is way more wild and impossible to do than this. Like this seems kind of like it could probably be done, you know?
There's when I worked at the theater, like this is probably not the best solution, but we had, again, because these devices didn't always work, but we had these devices where you would put it in your cup holder, and it was like you put it in your cup holder, and it had one of those like kind of like bendy situation things, and you'd kind of bend it to where it would be in front of you, and it was like this little, it was like black bar basically that had a screen on it. It wasn't very big, and it would give you captions. So it would, you play the movie, and it would sync to your, like before we give it to the person, we would sync it to their movie and to their theater, and then they take it in, put it in the cup holder, and then it goes like it's supposed to, like you can like situate it to where it's like in front of you, but you can still see the screen, and people used that. But like I said, they didn't always work all the time. But I feel like it was the right idea to where if anyone wanted captions to any movie they want, they would ask for one of those and we would give it to them. I feel like that worked 85% of the time.
That's pretty much what Zed was talking about, like a little screen to be or do it on an app, you know.
Yeah, they should just move that to an app now to where you can, yeah, do what Zed was saying and just load it up and have it in front of you, and you can read along and you can do it with any movie you want. Because I've only in around my area, I think between the Regal and the AMC, like I'll see like one closed captioning movie, and like it's like I feel like at least there should be one showing throughout the day for every movie that's closed captioning, at least, you know.
Yeah,
but
I can definitely agree with that.
But like for me, like that, at least my area, like when I went and saw Air, it was closed captioning, and that was like one of the first movies I've ever seen in theaters with captions on the screen. And I was like, and I saw so many deaf people in there talking about the movie afterwards and stuff, like with and I just thought that was really cool that they got to experience the movie theater experience with the closed captioning. And I was like, everyone should be able to experience the theater. You shouldn't have to discriminate anyone, you know.
That's a really good idea, though, the doing the screen or making the app for it and stuff. Zed,
Yeah,
why don't you try to develop an app
Zed.
for it?
Yeah, patent that shit real quick.
You know what? I'm sure certain cities already have it. I mean, I undoubtedly there's certain cities that have to have it. My favorite theater going experience happened back in the early 2000s when Ang Lee's Hulk came to theaters. And I was already a massive, massive fan of the Marvel movies and the Marvel comics and TV shows and what have you. So my grandparents heard through the grapevine that a group of their deaf friends were coming together to rent out a theater so that they could take their kids and their grandkids and whoever wanted to go see this movie to go watch it, and it will have closed captioning. And that was something that was unheard of. Like nobody really made the efforts to do that. And they got the memo and they put their money forward to not only rent the theater but also like purchase the tickets, and they took me to go see it. And I can tell you that is the first and last time I have ever seen a movie with my grandparents in theaters. And it was amazing because I grew up with that. It's not strange for me to watch movies with my grandparents, but to be in the theater with a group of other folks enjoying it. I mean, there may have been some folks in that theater that had never seen a movie in that atmosphere. And that was incredible. For me, I loved the movie. I know nowadays I think differently, but it was such an amazing experience for my grandparents to take me to see that and for them to watch it in theaters. Another big thing that folks don't really think about when it comes to the hearing impaired is, when we're watching like a foreign movie, obviously, unless you don't speak the language, you need the subtitles. Deaf people, a lot of them, my grandparents included, don't speak English. Like, even though they use English words, they're not speaking English.
Mm-hmm.
So it's already difficult when they're watching a movie like that. Like, there's certain movies they prefer over others because there's more action, there's more things happening, and not a lot of just like dialogue. Like, when my grandparents ask me what movie they should watch and there's a lot of dialogue, I'll tell them that there's a lot of talking. I'll tell them there's a lot of talking in that movie, and give them a movie that's more fast paced. Also, my grandparents are good at reading lips. My grandmother especially. What are movies that are hard to read lips in? Animated movies. My grandparents don't watch a lot of animated movies because they can't read lips, because it's far different. So there's a lot to think about. There's a lot that, my grandparents, being deaf, aren't able to experience with movies because they don't speak the language. They also, when it comes to animation, they can't read the lips. They can't read the body language as well. It's interesting, but the Hulk, undoubtedly, like, there's experiences that were more energetic. Like, when Andrew jumped through that portal in No Way Home, oh my gosh, it was just deafening in the theater. But seeing that one movie with my grandparents, the people that raised me, and it allowed me to not only share my love of Marvel, but like my love of movies with them, will forever be my favorite. I mean, it was just incredible.
Oh yeah, that sounds amazing.
That does. Drew, what is your favorite movie theater experience?
Oh, I'm gonna actually have to go with another recent one. There was a couple older ones that I was thinking about doing, but one of my theaters, they kind of like Zed was saying, they run older movies on Tuesday, and it's $7 on Tuesday is the discounted price, and they'll do like months, so they'll do like Harrison Ford or Martin Scorsese, whether it's an actor or director. Every Tuesday will be a movie that has them or is by them. And there was a Jeff Bridges month, and I know you're a Jeff Bridges fan as well. So I saw The Fisher King, I saw Starman, but of course I saw The Big Lebowski, and I saw it in theaters. And our theater, it wasn't a very big theater. There was probably like 50-ish plus people there, I would say, maybe a little more. It was sold out. It was completely sold out, and just laughing that hard with everyone else and like experiencing that movie with a crowd was so fucking fun. And like a bunch of my friends went too, and like it was really cool hearing like different people were laughing at different things, because that movie is just, there's so much comedy in that movie. Almost every other fucking line it could be a joke. But just hearing at what certain people thought funny, and maybe what I thought was funny that not a lot of other people laughed at, and then what everyone laughed at, it was just such a great experience. I love that movie. I love Jeff Bridges. And yeah, I think that's probably my most fun, greatest experience with the movies.
Well, Drew, I got one question for you. You have to use so many darn curse words.
Well, yeah, man. That's just like your prerogative, man.
Your opinion, man.
Your opinion.
I love that scene. He's like, I have to use so many cuss words.
Curse words.
The fuck you talking about?
What the fuck you talking about, man? He just wants a rug, okay? Just give him his rug.
The dude only wanted his rug back, man. I that movie is so full of just. Walter was the most PC motherfucker that he was back in the 90s, was leading the charge for political correctness. The Chinaman is not the issue. Also, Asian American, please.
Asian American. Chinaman's not the right word.
Chinaman is not the preferred nomenclature. Asian American.
Yeah, nomenclature. That's
those characters, I love that movie so much. It's that's a movie that I watch with my dad all the time. He showed me that when I was a kid. And we watch that movie probably every time we get together. We get to get together like once every few months, and that is like the number one movie we watch all the time. And I adore it. Everything, the characters are written so perfectly, and
It's so good.
it gets a lot of hate online. And I'm just like, when I think that hate goes away when I tell people like, you do realize that like all the dialogue in that movie was meticulously written. And so every instance of the F word, every instance of or you know, all the pauses and stuff, they were meticulously written in there. And Jeff and Steve and John had to write, or had to not write, but had to act within within that script very, very spot on to what the Coens had written it as. They didn't allow what is it called, ad-libbing or taking creative liberty with the character.
Improvisation. There we go.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, they literally were told, like the Coen brothers were like, we wrote this script for like word for word how we want it. So we chose you guys because you guys are really good actors and we know you're gonna nail this. And I always love, there's a couple interviews I always love watching. Like I watch them every time they come up, and Jeff Bridges is talking about how you said like, he's like, no, like all those ums and dudes and all that like small stuff, that's in the script. I'm reading the script. Like the Coen brothers are next level when it comes to their screenplays. It's crazy.
100%. Well, other than Lebowski, what's your favorite Coen brothers flick?
Oh man, I mean, I could go the easy route and do No Country for Old Men, but I feel like my heart would want me to do Fargo. I fucking love Fargo.
I think the most popular answers to that would be No Country or Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh Brother is amazing too, but
yeah, mine is actually one that doesn't get a lot of love. It doesn't get nearly enough love, and it's the 2010 remake of True Grit.
Oh yeah. True Grit's awesome. Yeah,
it's an incredible. It is one of the last great modern westerns. Like True Grit, Django, and Hateful Eight are some of the great last modern westerns, in my opinion. Anyway, the remake of 3:10 to Yuma was really good too. But that movie, Jeff Bridges in that movie, and then you got Josh Brolin and Matt Damon are incredible. Zed, do you like the Coens?
I do like the Coens. I've only seen a couple of their movies. I'm only realizing now. So if I had to answer second favorite to Lebowski, it would also be Fargo. I really, really love Fargo. But it's one of those movies, like, because I'm a big Steve Buscemi fan.
Yeah.
And he just gives such a great performance in that movie that it's like, in my mind, that's what happened to Steve Buscemi's character after Reservoir Dogs. Like he became that guy, and that's just what he's doing now.
Yeah.
And I love that movie, but I'm just not realizing I've never seen True Grit. I've never seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Although I just recently picked that up.
It's
and I've
really
never
good.
seen the other one you guys talked about.
No Country for Old Men.
Yeah,
Dude,
that one I've heard has a great villain like Javier. Is it Javier Bardem?
Yes, sir.
Like a really, really great villain in that. He has a great haircut. So
yeah, he does have a great. They say that is like they did studies on all these like narcissistic, like crazy sociopath people in movies, and they said that his character in No Country for Old Men was the most accurate to like what a real world narcissistic sociopath would be like.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I have an admission to make, even though I love the Coen brothers. I've never seen Fargo, and I've never seen Barton Fink.
I've never seen Barton Fink either. They have so many, honestly.
Barton Fink.
Dude, like I don't think I've seen Burner After Reading. I have not seen Raising Arizona. Raising Arizona is on my watch list. Yeah, I just watched Miller's Crossing not too long ago.
I did too. I watched Miller's Crossing and Blood Simple.
I liked that one. Yeah, Blood Simple might be one of their best, and it's their first.
Yeah.
It's a totally different vibe from all their others, maybe except for like No Country for Old Men and Miller's Crossing. They're kind of like the same, but Blood Simple was just so raw, man. You could tell like they were balling on a budget. Like and like I got the Criterion of that, and they have a bunch of like bonus features, and they're the Coen brothers are talking about how like they used two different cars, like when they were doing the car scenes where they're in the car. On the outside was one car, and then when they did the inside shots of the car, it was a totally different car because they needed a bigger car for the camera and everything.
Oh
So
yeah, that's good.
they talked about all the tricks they did to make it seem like it was the same car and everything. And like dude, it's just they use so much of that movie magic, and I love when movies do that because it makes it so much better. Like don't give me CGI. Don't give me like I feel like everyone's like, "Oh, how are we going to do that?" Oh, CGI because it's 2023. But back in the day, they needed to sit down and like, all right, how can we do this? What kind of optical illusions can we do, or like actual like makeup artists and stuff? Like I don't know. I just love that movie magic, and Blood Simple is full of it.
Yeah, Blood Simple, No Country, and The Big Lebowski are three very unique neo-noir films that
Mhm.
are so incredible in all of their own ways. Like
Yeah.
they're so unique. Big Lebowski is my favorite. Did you realize that Lebowski is actually a soft like remake of The Big Sleep, of Bogart's film The Big Sleep?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's the same, like it follows the same like plot line. It goes different directions, but it's the same like inherent timeline and plot line of The
Hmm.
Big Sleep. Um,
Damn.
and so when you realize that, that's another thing, like realizing that the dialogue was all meticulously acted out word for
Mhm.
word, and then that it's a remake of The Big Sleep. Those two facts, usually when I tell people that, it kind of changes their perspective on Lebowski a little bit and makes them put a little more respect on its name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But all right, I'm the only one left to go about my favorite
Yeah, your favorite.
movie
Yeah.
experience. And my favorite movie experience, though, it kind of is the antithesis to what you guys are both saying about theaters dying and people not going to theaters and stuff like that, and empty movie theaters and all that. Because my favorite experience is actually an empty theater experience. It was
Yeah.
R.I.P.D., the Jeff Bridges Ryan Reynolds joint.
Oh, it's so good. It's so much fun.
Oh,
That movie
hardcore
sucked, but it's
underrated.
so
No,
good.
no, 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 no. No, did not suck.
No,
Hardcore underrated.
it's
Hardcore
sucked, but
underrated.
it's sucked in the best
Oh,
It's
way.
so funny.
guys.
It's
Oh
so
my
funny.
god.
Dude, Bridges and Reynolds are hilarious together. Hilarious.
Oh yeah.
That
I'll
movie,
have
and
to
Kevin
rewatch
Bacon.
it. I'll have
Kevin
to
Bacon
rewatch
was
it.
the villain, and that movie is so underrated. Go rewatch that movie. R.I.P.D.
I'm
Such
I'm
a
gonna
good,
I'm gonna go get it and rewatch it.
such a good comedy. Um,
It just had a sequel like last year.
What?
yeah, I was
Yeah,
surprised about
it's
that
on
too.
Netflix or something now. It's on Netflix original, but it was like something that Netflix acquired. But yeah, the sequel came out like last year.
So when that movie came out, it had been out for like a week at most. And my buddy Michael and I went to see it. And we had no idea that it was how it was doing in box office or anything. It was, obviously we know now, it was a major flop. That movie flopped
Mhm.
hard. I'm surprised it got a sequel. Obviously the sequel was a direct to video sequel.
Yeah.
That movie, seeing that in theaters alone with my buddy, and we had this was at the crappy theater I was telling you that closed. This was at the crappy ass theater, and we sat down and watched that movie, and we realized about 20 minutes into it, we looked around and realized that nobody else was in the theater at
Mhm.
all. We had the entire place to ourselves. So
That's so much
we
fun,
like
though.
got up and like walked around and shit during the movie, and like sat in the back, sat in the front, sat in the middle. Like we took the time to like find where that sweet spot was, like the greatest spot to sit in and watch a movie. Because like,
You
it's like,
guys
why
just
not?
Some myth busting.
Like we were like, I mean, we could have been like pulled a Pee Wee Herman out and just waked it. Nobody would have fucking known. Like Jesus. Like, but it was a great experience to just sit there. And now looking back, and I realized that, like, this was in a time before theaters were like on the verge of all dying like they are now, which I don't know if I'd say they're on the verge of dying per se right now, but they were a lot more
It's clear.
full then
Mhm.
than they are now. Um, So that was just that empty theater. Then the week after RIPD opened was just indicative that the movie was not that great. Even though I still maintain, and I've watched it since that too. Like that does not cloud my experience of the movie.
I've watched it a couple times.
Okay, guys, I'll rewatch it.
Don't take it as like it's not Citizen Kane, Drew. Okay,
I'm not saying it is.
It's
conceptually, it's a really cool idea. The Rest in Peace department, a bunch of ghosts.
Yeah,
it's Men in Black with ghosts. It's Men in Black with ghosts, is what it is.
It's Men in Black meet Ghostbusters. It's great.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
I worked at the theater when that movie came out because that was what, like 2014, 2013, something like that.
It had to have been,
yeah. I worked at the theater, and I've never seen a movie go in and out of theaters so fast. And this is at the time where Frozen was released. Dude, Frozen was in theater for, I'm not exaggerating, Frozen was in our theater for probably 6 months. I'm not joking. That movie would not stop selling tickets. And personally, me working there and being an usher, I hated that movie. So many kids, it was the dirtiest theaters in the world, and it wouldn't stop. And then finally, after 6 months, they stopped showing it in theaters. And then I was like, okay, awesome. This is great. I'm so happy this is done. And guess what they did? A week later, they brought it back, sing-along version. Everyone come for the version. Fucking selling out theaters again. I'm like, no, stop it.
Let it go.
Dude, I was just hanging out in RIPD, just hanging out there on the job, just watching what I could until someone was like, Drew, where are you? We need you. I'm like, oh, I'm on my way. So to be fair, I've only seen RIPD in like chunks, so I haven't watched it fully.
Then you should be reminiscing on those little small increments of breaks that you got between running around, like children running around.
Yeah,
you should be like, this is the best fucking movie ever. Oh my God. Yeah. Sweet release. Like, have you guys seen Mario movie?
The Super Mario Bros movie?
Yeah, the new one. I've seen the new one.
It's dude, I imagine working at a theater around Frozen, you get off every night and you're like that little, like that little thing, the little, droplet thing that's in the cage and Bowser. He's like, the sweet relief of death.
yeah, basically.
I could not imagine, bro. I mean, I worked at GameStop, and I worked through like fucking Pokemon releases, Call of Duty releases, NBA releases, so like crowded shit. Like, and people, dude, NBA 2K players are mostly assholes when they come to GameStop at 9 o'clock at night to get their shit. And it's like, I would never trade those horrible experiences working at GameStop for a theater experience. Bro, you could not pay me $1 million to clean up a theater after a kids movie. No fucking way.
It's terrible. Dude, so I think one of the most outlandish things to ever happen to me at the movie theater working there is I was waiting. I can't remember what movie it was. It was a children's movie though. But we were like waiting for everyone to leave, as ushers do. We're just standing there waiting for everyone to leave. This mom comes down to me and says, I am so sorry, my son had an accident. And I was thinking that he spilled his drink or some shit. And I was like, don't worry about it. That's what we're here for. We're cleaning it up. And she's like, no, like he couldn't hold it. And I was like, what do you mean? The cups
are quite large.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean he couldn't hold it? She's like, well, it's a mess up there. And I was like, here's some paper towels and some napkins, and go clean up your son. I'm not cleaning up your son's shit and pee, ma'am. Like, your son didn't make it. Like, you didn't take him to the bathroom. I mean, I was like, I'm getting paid $7.50 an hour. I'm sorry, but there's a line to what I'm gonna clean up, and that's shit and piss. Okay, I'll clean up popcorn, soda, anything in between, but I'm not your bodily functions. That's a no-go for me.
No bueno.
It's like, what do you mean? Is he not potty trained? He should have a diaper on. What are we doing?
You ever been in a GameStop and asked to go to the bathroom and they're like, oh, we don't have one?
I don't think so,
We
but
have to. We're supposed to, like, corporately. We were supposed to tell people we don't have a bathroom because it was like a health and safety hazard if they like pissed in our floor and we got like sick or something because of like their piss or shit.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it's like on the real though. Like we always told, like even if corporate didn't tell us we had to do that, we would always be like, no, we don't. We have to go next
No.
door to the restaurant next door.
No, that's
Yeah.
gamer piss. That shit's acidic.
burn a hole through the toilet.
Yeah.
Ain't no way.
In 10 days at least.
Oh, that's the worst. I know we have to go, but there's one thing I want to say.
But you better make it profound. You better make it profound.
No,
and prophetic.
it's not going to be. Well, maybe it is profound. I don't. Depends on how you look at it. The weirdest thing I've ever found coming back into a theater, because sometimes viewings are because especially like Marvel movies where people sit through the credits.
Yeah.
And people are like trying to like clean up in between. I came in right as one movie was ending and another one was starting. I walked up to my seat, and the seat next to the one that I bought, somebody's arm cast was sitting in the seat. Like someone's broken arm, their cast was sitting in the seat. So like maybe it is profound. Maybe they watched the movie so good that some higher power healed their ailment. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but I remember walking in and the guy who was sweeping in front of me, I just like held it up in the air like I was Rocky winning the fight, and I was just like, what do I do with this? And he said, what is it? And I said, it looks like somebody's cast. And he said, why? I don't know. I was like, where's your trash can? And he said, just give it to me and I'll throw it away. So he just held it under his arm, cradling it like a baby while he finished sweeping.
What?
And it was just
what movie?
And it wasn't. I want to say it wasn't. What movie?
What movie were you watching? I want to know what movie's so good that it heals broken bones.
Avengers: Age of Ultron.
That is a good fucking movie. That's a great fucking movie, man.
But like I could not believe, because there's weird stuff that people find all the time. Like my buddy who used to be an usher and he used to do all that kind of stuff. He has found condoms. He has found all the things that you don't want to find in theaters. But that was bizarre, because sometimes you see people leave like lanyards and whatever, and it's just like, it happens.
People leave money. I found a gun before.
What?
Interesting. That's
So
quite interesting. What movie was that in? My Little Pony?
Yeah.
Well, folks, Drew just released where he lives in Indiana. He obviously lives in Gary, Indiana.
You go through the lanes with like a big broom, and you get everything under, and then you like whip it out, and then someone like scoops it up. And like I was doing that, and I hit something, and I was like, "Oh, that has weight to it." So I thought it was like a purse or like a coin bag or something. And when I like whipped it out, it was a fucking pistol. And I'm like 17, and I immediately just back away. I like immediately was like, no, thank you, I'm good. So we got on no one touched it because we're all 17. And I went on the walkie, and it was like, hey, we got a problem in like theater 10. There's like a firearm on the ground. Can I get someone in here to take that? And luckily we had a probation officer that was a manager. He was double duty, and so he actually knew about that stuff. And so he came and got it, and eventually we had someone call like later that night, and he's like, did you guys find a gun in a theater?
Oh my God.
Why do you have a gun if you left the theater without knowing that it's on your waist?
He called several hours later. He was I just realized that I'm missing that. It's not mine. It's borrowed from a friend. Can I get that back?
Yeah, I'm actually going to need that back. It's not mine. I'm going to need to return it.
No, it's like, sorry, it was covered in piss. What happened in there?
It was covered in piss.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Oh, God,
bro, the
ridiculous.
The 20 minutes between that man realizing that his gun was nowhere to be found and him calling that theater was like probably the biggest heart attack, like close thing to a heart attack that man's ever had. Like, what did you guys did you guys just give it back to him? Like, that is that not something that were you supposed to call the cops?
Well, I mean, so the probation officer, we kept it, and he basically was like, "Okay, well, we'll hold on to it for the day if he calls back, and then if he doesn't, then yeah, he was gonna give it to he was gonna turn it into the cops, basically." But when he came in, he had to have his ID, and he had to have his gun license. I mean, there's no really way to be like, okay, you own this particular gun. But the dude was like,
calling a theater to find out if they found a gun? I mean,
exactly. There's only one person. So the dude was like, if you bring me your ID and you bring me your gun license that matches your ID, then we'll give it back to you, no problem. But yeah,
but here's the thing. Like JT said, imagine the panic. The way that Drew is saying the man called, it didn't sound like he was in a panic. It sounded like this has happened before. Right? He's calling Kroger. He's calling Kroger. He's like, listen, I bought some watermelons. You know that big vat of watermelons? I think my gun's with the watermelons.
He said, I had to sit it down. The weight distribution was off, so I had to sit it down, and I forgot it there.
It's just like, how... interesting stuff. A cast, a firearm,
right?
Calls up Walmart. You never know. Calls up Walmart. Yeah, I think I left my AK-47 in your changing room.
Just like, come on, that's ridiculous.
This guy is now.
He just picked it up.
This guy
is like, thank you.
He's now lore and masters of Matinee's universe. The mischievous gun lever.
I would love to know what movie he was watching.
I wish I could remember.
Oh my god!
I don't really think it called to have a firearm on you. I think he's just one of those guys that has his carry on permit and he likes to bring it wherever. But I really cannot remember for the life of me what movie that was. I worked there for like 2 years, and I was like mainly an usher for the last year and a half. So
sure.
It's like I almost
a lot of sweeping.
Well, it's like if you would give me the song that goes on for the end credits, I could probably tell you what movie.
Oh, wow. That's actually that would be a really good challenge. Like in that time frame of like what years did you work there for?
I would say the late 2012 to 2014. I stopped there. I stopped when I graduated high school. So
that would be an interesting challenge to set up to see if that would be.
Like, we're gonna do that. We're gonna Drew. That is gonna be a new.
Oh God,
that's gonna be a new challenge, a new game. Every episode that you are on from here until the end, until we run out of movies between that time period. On an episode, I'm going to ask you one. I'm going to give you the name of one song. What song was this? What movie did this one song play at the end of this movie? Like,
I'm going to get 3 right now that I said that.
I'm gonna do it.
He's like, cut this part.
Yeah, cut it.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Oh. So was that gun the weirdest thing that you found, or was it just like the most outlandish?
I'd say most outlandish. I mean, no, we would find money all the time, man, and like not even like small bills. Like, dude, there's this one time where like throughout the shift, basically what like our group did. This is just like if this certain group worked together. Basically, if anyone found money, we'd put it in a pool, and then we'd split the money at the end of the night. And this one time, someone found $100 bill. We all walked out with like $25 each on top of like just making our regular hourly. But I would say the gun is the most. I feel like the cast is way more outlandish than the gun. How do you get that off of your arm?
Well, that was my thought, because you have to like go in and like a reciprocating saw cuts it off your arm.
A saw. Like
how did it? Because it wasn't like a brace.
It was a cast
with Velcro. It wasn't Velcro. It was a cast.
Had anybody signed it?
People. Of course, there was drawings and names everywhere, and I'm like looking for a phone number. Like, who wants this cast back?
Someone just rip it off. Just use a knife, dude. I have so many questions about the cast.
I have no idea.
It was the same guy who left the gun. It was the same guy who left the gun. Yeah,
he's going around state to state.
Did I leave my cast in your movie? While you're at it, can you check for my fucking RPG?
It was just such a bizarre. Because like I have found weird stuff in theaters, but that was the one, because I had no idea what I was walking up to. Because it was just a weird kind of shape. So I'm just like, what is that? And then immediately, like, I'm like, this is a blue cast. with a bunch of writing all over it. And again, I also didn't mention this. It wasn't a child's cast. This was a full, like, it was an adult cast. Like, an adult went into this theater and was like, Captain America!
Yeah.
Like, he ripped it off, ready to catch Cap's shield. It was just, I have no idea what this person was doing. But
Fighting some inner demons.
They had a
man.
blast.
Well, well, boys, that is an interesting, very interesting way to end this episode, this awesome episode. Oh my god. I gotta get you guys back on together because this was fun as can be.
Yeah.
Oh
loved it.
man. All right, everybody. Y'all have a great week. Say goodnight,
Take it easy.
everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Holy podcast, Batman. What an awesome episode of Masters of Matinee this was. This was one of those episodes that demands great majesty. Do you not agree? Were you not entertained? I'm honestly so entertained that I'm left frazzled and a bit intimidated because between me and you, I got zero clue how I'm supposed to follow it up next week, but I will give it my best shot. I will pledge to you, my dear, wonderful, beautiful, sexy audience, that I will always put my best foot forward to give you constantly great, amazing, wonderful, majestic entertainment every Blues Day Tuesday. And while I'm over here gassing up the audience, I want to thank you guys who have been listening along and want to remind you to go ahead and follow Masters of Matinee on YouTube, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, wherever your preferred podcast platform is, as long as it's one of those 3 podcast platforms. Hey, special thanks to this week's co-hosts, Drewbie, Doobie, Movie, who can be found making super chill TikToks about physical media and movies over at Drewbie, Doobie, Movie, and Zedzilla, who can be found on TikTok as well at Zedzilla Movies. Remember to also follow me on TikTok and YouTube at JT the Talking Head, and I'm also on Letterboxd doing written reviews, so you can find me over there at JT Talking Head. Thank you all so very much for listening to this amazing collaborative effort. Be sure to join us next week, every single Blues Day Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you again for dropping and listening to us talk about the things we love, movies and physical media. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next week.